Here we go. Good morning. Thank you, Diane, for the beautiful prelude. My name is Mary Blanton, and I'm your service coordinator today. I would like to welcome all of you to the North Chapel on this very chilly June morning. It doesn't feel like June, and it's not great for our gardens. It's wonderful to see all of you here today. I would like to extend a big welcome to Peggy O'Neill, the Director of WISE. She will be giving the reflection today as part of our mission to bring social justice speakers to the church. You can read her bio in the order of service. She has graciously agreed to stay after the service for a Q&A, so bring your questions and come sit in the front of the church after the service is over. Our minister, Reverend Dr. Leon Dunkley, is also here with us today to officiate the child dedication ceremony for Lucia, the daughter of Jonathan and Marie Otsby. She's always so good sitting in the front row. I want to give a special welcome to those of you who are here to help celebrate this occasion. We would love to have all of our visitors sign the guest book, which is at the back of the sanctuary on the table. Today we also celebrate Father's Day and Juneteenth. Happy Father's Day to all of you fathers who are here today. Father's Day was inaugurated in the United States in the early 20th century to complement Mother's Day, to celebrate fathers, fathering, and fatherhood. President Lyndon Johnson first issued the Presidential Proclamation honoring fathers, designating the third Sunday in June as Father's Day. And in 1972, the day was made a permanent national holiday when President Nixon signed it into law. Many of you may be thinking about the gifts you received from your father, and some of you may be having Father's Day celebrations later today. My father gave me the gift of hiking and the love of the outdoors. He hiked the White Mountains as a young man, and I still treasure his 1920 Appalachian Mountain Club guidebook. I will speak more about Juneteenth in the opening words. There are a lot of things happening in this next week at the North Chapel. Amazing Grace will meet on Zoom today from 1 to 2:30, and next Sunday, a Ukrainian fundraiser will be held here in the sanctuary at 2 o'clock. If you would like a poster, please see Peg after the service. So here's, if anybody needs to see who Peg is. Bookstock is also here next weekend, and the events will be held in the North Chapel on both Friday and Saturday. For more information about these events and many more wonderful things that are happening at the North Chapel, please read our church bulletin or check online at www.northchapelvt.org. Unfortunately, we're still not having coffee hour, but in a few weeks, we hope that we will have lemonade on the front porch. June 19th or Juneteenth is a very important day in African American history and is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery in the United States. On June 19th, 1865, the following proclamation was read in Galveston, Texas, almost 2.5 years after Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It reads as follows. The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. They are informed that they will not be allowed to collect at military posts and that they will not be supported in idleness either there or elsewhere. On June 15, 2021, the U.S. Senate unanimously approved the bill that makes Juneteenth a legal public holiday. In a statement, Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said, "Making June 14th a national holiday is a major step forward, recognizing the wrongs of the past, but we must continue to work to ensure equal justice and to fulfill the promise of the Emancipation Proclamation and our Constitution." The following poem is designated the official Juneteenth poem. It's titled, We Rose by Christina Kay. From Africa's heart we rose, already a people, our faces ebon, our bodies lean. We rose, skills of art, life, beauty, and family. Crushed by forces we knew nothing of, we rose. Survive we must, we did. We rose. We rose to be you, we rose to be me. Above everything expected we rose, to become the knowledge we never knew. We rose. Dream we did, act we must. I would like to again welcome Peggy O'Neill. Our guest reflectors' bios are filled with facts, activities, and accomplishments. So I always try to tease out some interesting facts that would never find their way into a proper bio. For instance, when Peggy was 14 with a diagnosis of scoliosis, an amazing doctor stretched and pulled different parts of her body, and in 30 minutes, she grew 2 inches. She has also had the good fortune to go whitewater rafting on the Zambezi River in Africa. She said that was one of the most beautiful, exhilarating, memorable, and also frightening experiences she has ever had. And last, she loves to cook. And thanks to a wise sabbatical, she will head to a cooking school outside of Cork, Ireland this year for the month of August. Welcome, Peggy.
Am I good? I did wear shoes that have a little bit of a platform, so my 5'2", not quite 5'2", 5'1.5", it's a little higher this morning. Good morning. Welcome, Lucia. Mary, thanks for the introduction, and thank you for the opportunity to share fun facts. I have to say, I had to think about that more thoroughly than my traditional bios, so thank you for that opportunity. I'm not sure they were fun, but perhaps they were different. I am happy to be here with you in this community, and I very much appreciate the invitation to join you this morning. So in just the short time that I have in front of you, I wanted to look back at WISE, the organization that I've been fortunate to be with for 19 years, to share its early foundings and then to talk a little bit about what WISE is doing now as we look to the future, and we look to all the children who really deserve to have a full and free and safe life. As others have said, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to dads, to all of you who have or had a fatherly role in someone's life. The joy and impact you bring as a father lasts a lifetime and beyond. My dad, Gene O'Neill, was a love. He died a long time ago, just a few months before I became executive director of the Samaritans in Boston, a suicide prevention center. Both my mom and my dad grew up in very violent homes. And in so many memorable late night father-daughter conversations, and I'm so admiring and grateful that my dad could be so open, honest, and vulnerable with me. He was the eldest of 6 children, and he shared stories of the violence he, his siblings, and mom experienced. When he got older, a mere teenager, he would physically try to stop his dad from hurting his mom physically and sexually, including being a barricade to the bedroom door. I share this because gender-based violence is a part of my family, as well as my experiences as a woman. My dad was an incredibly kind, generous, strong, vulnerable, and gentle person. The love, guidance, acceptance he gave to me and my siblings still grounds us today. So happy Father's Day. As Mary mentioned, today is also Juneteenth, and we are we are acknowledging the freedom of Black Americans here in this country. It truly is an Independence Day that we celebrate. June is also Pride Month. The LGBTQ+ community celebrates all over the world through many amazing and colorful events to recognize the influence LGBTQ+ people have made and to create awareness and action for social and political change. And WISE, we just celebrated our 50th anniversary. The anniversary was an opportunity to look back over 50 years, and we were fortunate to partner with Northern Stage to produce a podcast series interviewing people literally from those very first days in 1971 through today. As Mary said in her introduction, WISE's mission is to lead the Upper Valley to end gender-based violence. And our vision is a world of freedom, justice, equality, and dignity where all thrive. And yet WISE's mission, Father's Day, Pride Month, and Juneteenth are sober reminders that many people are not free, many people are not thriving, and many people are not safe to love, learn, and live their lives fully. Still, in June 2022, too many people are not seen and valued for their full humanity. When WISE was founded in 1971, it was there to support women in exploring their educational and employment opportunities. As I've been told, women would meet in a room over the Hanover hardware store. They would walk up the outside stairs, and they would sit around together, I believe on the floor, and openly discuss their lives in a safe community. This was the beginning of WISE being recognized as a safe and trusting place where women could gather as a community, to talk openly about their experiences, to be listened to be believed. In those early conversations, The women involved were struck by how many stories of domestic and sexual violence in home and in the workplace were being shared, and the realization that women were suffering. That's when WISE began its advocacy focus and 24-hour crisis line. Its mission changed to one that focused on supporting victims of domestic and sexual violence, and its mission statement was to empower victims of domestic and sexual violence to become safe and self-reliant through crisis intervention and support services, most likely the crisis intervention and support services WISE was providing. We kept this mission for over 40 years. It served us well. And like any good organization, we reviewed our mission, and in 2016, we chose to change it. Why did we change it? And why did we include gender-based violence? Because we asked ourselves two questions. Is our mission statement true and relevant? And is it forward-looking? And our answers were no. As an organization, WISE was supporting survivors, and it definitely wanted to be able to empower survivors to be safe and self-reliant. And yet the organization, its kindness, its trust, its confidentiality, was not able to do this. Yes, short term, we can support people to be safe and address safety. Short term, we can support people to find ways in their life to be whole. WISE knew, though, it needed to look at its work within the context of gender inequality and the structures, beliefs, and norms that create the conditions for individual violence to happen. Gender-based violence is an international humanitarian concern, so our new mission statement included that. Our new mission statement also speaks to prevention. The previous one did not. If WISE is going to make impact in the community, it must be committed and intentional to try and prevent it. And that's where you, the community that WISE serves, all come in. This is not an issue that WISE can do all by itself. Like many social change work, we need to all be thinking about and addressing this together. So what are we doing now? Like, what does WISE do? You know, when you call WISE, you show up to one of our offices, what is it that we do? Well, I'd like to describe it as 4 distinct and yet intersecting areas of focus. Our advocacy program, starting way back in the 1970s, our Welcoming All Nationalities Network, which is an immigration legal services program, the Multidisciplinary Interview and Training Center in White River Junction, it's a mouthful, I know, and then our prevention and education program. Each of these 4 areas of focus do run in some ways independently, but they all intersect in service to WISE's mission, in service to survivors, and in service to the community. What is advocacy? WISE advocacy is foundational to everything that we do. It is survivor-centered, and it's been in place for over 45 years. So what is advocacy? I'm not sure the term always serves us well, and it's the term we have. Really, it's love, acceptance, kindness, and grit. As an executive director, and for those of you who know anyone who works at WISE, let me tell you, there's nothing like an advocate asking for something. They do not ever relent. Always kind, they never give up. Our advocacy is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How do we do that? Well, our staff and volunteer advocates, some 50 people strong, are simply amazing. Available to anyone to listen and to believe, and they are supporting nearly 1,500 people a year. Our advocacy program is multifaceted and holistic. People can connect with our advocacy program and advocates once, for 5 minutes, or over decades. It's their choice. They get to use us and be with us as they want, when they want, for how long they want. It's free, it's confidential, and we always will be there. But we also do some tangible things. We have a very extensive housing program, and I'll tell you, in the 19 years I've been at WISE, it has grown significantly. Mostly because, as we all know, there's an incredibly challenging housing environment, really for anybody, but particularly for people who are needing to leave situations and find new situations. So we have a safe home, we have a house in Lebanon in a discrete location where people can live for short periods of time. We also will explore housing options with folks that call WISE or come into WISE. And I have to say, every single day, multiple times a day, our advocates are working with people to address their housing needs. We don't have magical housing somewhere that we can tap into. That isn't possible. But what we do have is extensive experience and extensive knowledge about what is available, who the property owners are, who the landlords are, what the eligibility requirements are, and we support survivors in sort of getting all of those very sometimes complicated pieces of paper and timelines in place so that they're able to get housing. And then recently we purchased an apartment building right next to our main program center in downtown Lebanon on Bank Street, and we are doing extensive renovations. And once the renovations are complete, and I kind of want to cross my fingers, hopefully at the end of the summer, early fall, we will have 4 apartment units for transitional housing. So we're doing what we can at WISE to help people with a very difficult housing situation. I think many of you know we provide accompaniment to many places in the Upper Valley, certainly the hospitals. We provide accompaniment to Dartmouth-Hitchcock, Alice Peck Day, the VA, Mount Ascutney Hospital, and recently Cottage Hospital. And what do we do when we accompany people at the hospital? Well, we're at Dartmouth-Hitchcock multiple times a week, and what that usually means is we will get a call from a triage nurse, often in the emergency department, who will let us know that someone is there they are concerned about and they think is impacted by domestic and/or sexual violence. And we go automatically. We will be there within a half an hour, often sooner, and it is up to that person if they want to talk with us or have us be with them. We don't mind if people say no, not now. And we're there to, someone's there because they've been hurt. They're in the emergency department. And we're there to explain what is happening medically, to be a support during what can be a really challenging, traumatic time, to be a resource for the sexual assault nurse examiners who are angels, and there for people after they leave the hospital in whatever way they want or need. We also are going to Windsor Court Monday morning. I don't know how many of you know, but Monday morning in Windsor Court, it's still virtual, but final orders for protective orders are held every Monday morning. So we're there every Monday morning. And we're always available to go to police departments 24/7 if someone needs help with paperwork, filing for an emergency order. and often shelter. We have a campus advocacy program at Dartmouth College, and we actually have an office on the Dartmouth campus, and we provide ongoing support to the Dartmouth community, students, faculty, and staff. Joni Cole, who some of you may know, has been facilitating a writing group for survivors at WISE for many years now. This is an opportunity for survivors to come together in a safe space and to have Joni and an advocate's gentle guidance on crafting words around whatever it is they want to write about. The only caveat is, and for those of you who know Joni, you'll know this makes sense, you have to write it in the group. So that's been going on for a long time. We also have an arts group with Elizabeth Steele. And recently, we've strengthened our youth advocacy. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the prevention program, but we have dedicated staff who are there to support young people who are impacted by domestic and sexual violence and need their own person to confidentially and safely talk to. And then soon we'll be adding a civil legal services program at WISE. There are many, many partnerships we have with legal service entities, South Royalton Legal Clinic, New Hampshire Legal Assistance. There's many local attorneys providing pro bono or low bono legal services, and yet there still are gaps. So we'll be hiring a civil legal attorney hopefully by the end of the year, early next year. And that leads me into WAN, the Welcoming All Nationalities Network. When WISE changed its mission in 2016, we then welcomed WAN into WISE as a full program to support Kate Semple-Botter, the immigration attorney, so Kate can do what she magically does without having to worry about fundraising and administration and all those things. She works very closely with the advocacy team, so we're supporting immigrant survivors of gender-based violence as wholly as we are supporting anybody. Our newest program, The Mouthful, the Multidisciplinary Interview and Training Center, that started in 2019. And from what we know, it's most likely the only program of its kind in the country. It's led by Abby Tassel, and Mitzi's focus is to support victims and survivors in the community using innovative and survivor-centered practices to shift the response to gender-based violence within the criminal legal system. The criminal legal system is not often effective for victims. So what Mitzi does, Abby and her team, they've been trained to do forensic experiential trauma interviews, and they will interview survivors, and they do that on behalf of the Windsor County State's Attorney's Office. And fortunately, the Woodstock Police Department, as well as the Hartford Police Department, are partners in this new effort, as well as a special investigative unit. The other thing that Mitzi's doing is it is developing and supporting a cohort of expert witnesses who will be able to provide expert witness testimony in criminal cases in Vermont, in jury trials. It's our hope that with more information in those cases, that juries understand what the pattern of domestic and sexual violence is and how it plays out for victims. And then lastly, our prevention and education program. There are 3 areas to this. Our volunteer program, we have many opportunities for community members to join WISE and support our work. A lot of it is the crisis line, and there are other opportunities. We also do extensive professional and community education. Most recently, we were training medical students at the Geisel School and doing nursing grand rounds at Dartmouth Hitchcock. Kate Rodenberg, our program director, just facilitated a series of discussion groups with local therapists. to do a lot of professional and community education. And then our schools program. Been around since about 1995, and I wish I could give you what the energy is like when the 3 educators come back at the end of a school day and share what their day was like. Our educators are in schools in 10 school districts, and we're there with kindergartners all the way through high school students. And I don't have the final data for this year. Our fiscal year ends in a couple of weeks. But I well expect the number of school programs they delivered this year to be well into the 300s. They're a very, very, very busy team, and they're all on vacation this week. So as I end, I'm just going to share a few quotes from our high schools program. With WISE, I learned that maintaining contact with the victim in an abusive relationship is super important, so that they feel they have a good support system. I really like this program. I learned a lot about what I should expect and require in relationships. This provoked conversations with my partner and I. WISE helped me to learn more about the power of consent and how deep consent really goes. WISE also taught me about how many things contribute to sexual violence, and that many of these things often aren't perceived as sexual violence. One thing said yesterday was, abuse doesn't have to be physical. This struck with me, as I had known this was true, but I suppose I couldn't see or understand how. I really appreciate that this was spoken about. And this last quote is for me, for you, for all of us. This week, I learned that although some of these issues seem bigger than us, you can make little actions for change. Thank you.